Koinange, and this is Jeff Koinange Live. And you know, if it's Thursday, it's all about inspiration. What a story we have for you tonight, especially when a lot of you keep telling me, why don't I bring ordinary Kenyans to the bench? And we try as much as we can, but maybe we can do better. And we will. And we are. In fact, my guest's wife wrote to me not too long ago and said, I think you should feature my husband. I don't usually pay much attention to such messages, but this one was a little special because it had with it a book that her husband had just written several years ago. It's called I Want Me Back. It wasn't his first book. He had written one several years before that. In fact, he's written a total of 7 books, and he's working on his 8th. His first one, many of you may remember, Fruitful and Quality Life, written about 13 years ago, back in 2002. His other book, Top Positioning. It's all about motivation, lifestyle coaching, letting people feel good about themselves. I call it Ordinary Kenyans Doing Extraordinary Things. Sit back. If you need motivation, if you need inspiration, if you need to get your mojo back, this is the show for you. My guest tonight, Stephen Kigwa, author, lifestyle coach, you name it, he's the man about town. His Twitter handle is @skigwa. Mine is @Koinange Jeff. The hashtag is JKL. And JKL begins right now. Stephen.
Yes.
Good to see you, man.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you.
I heard you turned 19 earlier this month, 39 earlier this month.
No, come on. I turned 20 for the umpteenth time.
20 for the umpteenth time.
Yes, yes.
You're 39, you're 10 years younger than I am.
Oh, really?
And you've written 7 books?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
You know, your wife,
yes,
I tell you, man, she's special. She wrote to me and she sent this book to me, I Want Me Back.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, these are the stories Kenyans should be reading, because these are stories that they can relate to. And there's a part in this, and we'll talk about the other books, but there's a particular part in this,
yes,
when you were living, you were paying rent to some landlady or landlord.
Yes.
And it came to a point where you couldn't pay it anymore, you couldn't afford to pay it.
That's
and
correct.
Go on, tell the story.
Interesting, that was some years back.
Yeah.
Stayed in someone's place and I was trying to make the ends meet. And at some point I couldn't even pay the rent. But the lady was kind to me. She told me, Stephen, I think you have stayed here now for 10 months. You've not been able to pay rent. Why don't I give you a smaller house? You stay there, perhaps you'll be able to pay that. Well, we sat down and I said to her, I think even if you give me a smaller house and I'm still staying away from town, I'd rather stay closer to town where I will not have to pay fare to when I'm hustling out like that. And so she allowed me to go. She told me, when you get the money, come and pay me. And I went, and she forgot all about it. And years later, I actually went back to her. And I knocked at the door, and she opened, and I asked her, do you remember me? She said, not quite. I said to her, I'm the guy who used to live in that house. And I went away before I paid you arrears of 10 months, and here is the money.
You gave her a check?
I gave her cash.
Cash?
And
how much? How much?
It was 40,000 because I was paying 4,000
a month.
Yes. And she told me, ever since I was born, I have never seen a tenant move out and come back later to pay the rent.
Whoa.
Yes.
What made you do that, Stephen?
It's my values. In fact, I keep saying that money is something that I would not want to allow to corrupt me. And because of my values, the way I was raised up by my father, the values that were inculcated into us, so whatever belongs to somebody, you give it to them. You don't run away with it. Yes.
That's special. That's special.
Yes.
There's also a part in this book, and I love that part, where you say you are the first person in the city of Nairobi to rehabilitate a toilet.
That's true.
But not in the way we think.
Yes, yes, yes.
Go on.
Yes. That was on River Road. I was tired looking for a job because I walked all over town, going to industrial area. Everywhere I went, they would tell me, we don't have vacancies, or do you have experience? And I said, why don't I do something that will allow me to, create or generate some money? And so I identified a toilet on River Road. There was a building that once collapsed along River Road. It was actually in that building. So the toilet was not being used. So I talked to the landlord and he said, I said to him, can I use this toilet? He looked at me and said, young man, what do you want to do with an old toilet? And I said, just let me use it. I will show you what I do. So what I did, I got a gentleman who was like my father in the city who funded me. He gave me money. I went to Gikoba and I bought timber, covered the toilet bed, did some shelves, had a table there and a chair, and he bought me a computer. And I sat there and I started doing graphic designing there.
So the toilet became your office?
It became an office. And I used to go there dressed up in a suit and a tie, and people used to tell me, man, you don't belong here. And I used to tell them, man, I don't belong here, but I have to start somewhere. I know where I'm going.
Was it smelling?
Occasionally, when there used to be a blockage with the sewer, you can imagine what used to happen in Nairobi. This happens a lot. I remember one day I woke up and I was like, oh my God, look at what has happened. But anyway, we had to survive.
My goodness.
Yes.
And these are the ordinary kinds of stories that people need to hear, because a lot of people get so depressed, they lose hope in life.
Yes.
They feel helpless, and they don't want to go on.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, stories like these, is that why you write these books, is that?
You know, if you ask me why I write books, number one is because it expresses who I am. And number two, I want to reach out to somebody and I tell them, look, the problems that you have are not uncommon. In fact, people who have similar problems or even more difficult problems than what they have are not rare in this world. There are many. There are so many examples out there of people who have overcome challenges, people who are moving on, people who have picked themselves up from being laid off, from being fired, and all that. There are so many. And I tell them, there is hope. You can do it. You can make it. Yes.
Have you been in that position, Stephen? Have you been at the lowest of lows?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Jeff, before I even started doing what I do now, I remember there was a time I used to stay in slums, in Kawangware slums, and I used to be hosted by a gentleman. We used to live together called Naftali. He's no longer here. He went to US. But we used to stay in slums, in the slums of Kawangware, and I can tell you I know the shortest route from Kawangware slums to town. We would cross over to Kangemi, then we would walk along Wayaki Way down to town, and mind you, I do remember most of those times we didn't even have dinner the previous night. So you would walk down, you are tired, you are exhausted, you are hungry. And I remember at one point near the ABC place, I sat down because I was exhausted. And I started asking for people to give me a lift. And of course, everybody was just zooming off. Yeah. And I remember looking at them and saying, I wish you gave me a lift. One day you would have been proud to say you helped me. And I said, one day I'll drive down this highway, the same way these guys are driving down. Because they have the same brain as me.
Absolutely.
Yes.
How long did you do that, Stephen?
That was like a whole year. That was like walking.
Morning and evening.
Morning and evening. Walking to town. Sometimes we would go to Gara. We had some friends there. If we were unable to go back to Kawangware, we would those friends of ours who used to host us.
And what would you be doing in town? Is it Kibarua?
Looking for a job. Yeah. Kibarua. I used to do casual jobs, you know, moving tables in offices and all that. Move this. And I had a degree, mind you. But I was saying, I may just do something, otherwise I don't want to just sit at home and do nothing. I'd rather do something. You see, when you start doing something, it's when people begin to notice you. If you just stay inside, indoors, no one will notice you. No. You need to move to where people are.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So what was the turning point, Stephen? What was that turning point where you said, you know what, enough of this, I'm going to do this?
When I used to stay in Kawangware now, that's when I thought, why don't I start doing something? That's when I went to rehabilitate that toilet. I did it for a year or so, and after 1 year I thought, wait a minute, this is not taking me anywhere. I can't even survive on this really, because the business was not doing very well. It wasn't my line. I just had to do something to live. So at some point I got a job at Temple Road High School as a teacher, untrained teacher, and my salary was 3,500, and of course that was not even enough to pay my rent. It wasn't even enough to buy me clothes, even to pay bus fare and to educate, to pay bills. It wasn't enough. After 1 year, it faithfully. I taught for 1 year faithfully, and after that I said, no, I cannot keep working here. I quit.
Couldn't you ask for more money?
I did. Actually, I do remember I did something very weird. Jeff, I actually went to the bursar in that school and I asked her, how much money do you collect at the beginning of the term? And she told me. And I said to her, what are the overheads here? She told me. So I did the quick maths and I discovered actually that the owners of the school were making clean 500,000 Kenya shillings every month.
Every month?
Every month. And I was like, I went to the teachers in the staff room and I said, guys, why don't we ask the administration to hike our salaries? They said, Stephen, it seems like you have gotten another job. You want us to be fired. Nobody came forward. But I went to the principal, who was the owner, and I said, sir, I think you'll attest, and my students are my witnesses, that actually I do a good job. Why don't you think of upgrading on salary? They said, Stephen, if you don't want to work here, you can as well go. And I say, thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity I've had. And I left.
You walked away?
I just walked away.
He couldn't raise that 3,500. He couldn't increase it.
He couldn't.
What a shame. That's his loss.
Yes.
Does he know where you are now?
But I thank God he did that. Otherwise, perhaps I would still be stuck there.
You'd still be there.
Yes. So,
does he know where you are now?
No, I don't think he does. But maybe on this now he will know what I do.
Okay, so the first book came out in 2002.
Yes, and I did it while I was in college. It's only that I was not able to publish the book while I was in college. So I had to wait until I graduated. I actually went to Equity Bank, borrowed some money to publish the book and print the book. Yes.
But the thing is, were you writing the book to make money, or what was the intention?
No, in fact, my intention was not at all to make money. I didn't even know you could make money with books. Anyway, I was writing books the same way someone who is gifted in singing would like to sing, for people to love and listen to the music. So I was writing the books so that I can feel happy to know that I have put something in a book. In fact, I think when you write a book, it's like you have invested in real estate, because a book will never depreciate in value. Now, when you look at it from an economic sense, yes.
It'll be there, and it'll be there forever and ever.
Yes.
But 7 books later, and then you're working on an 8th?
Yes.
What inspires you to do that, Stephen?
My motivation in life is really to educate people to live an optimized life. And if I have got to do that, if I put the ideas that are inspired in my mind and in my spirit, if I put them in a book will be able to go to a place that I will not be able to go. The same way this book got to you even without me knowing that my wife was doing it behind my back.
Yes.
You see, a book will go to places that I may not even be able.
It'll travel.
It will go, yes.
And that's your intention?
That is my inspiration, that someone will see the book, will read, will get an idea, will say, oh, this is a good thing, I can practice it, I can try and try it in my life.
Yeah, do people come up to you, Stephen? Do they come up to you and say, hey, listen, man, Stephen Kigwa, wow, you really changed my life? Do you get people come?
One day I was doing with the shopping at the Sarit Center. Actually, I was just idling, if you may say so. And I had someone nudge my shoulder and I turned. It was a beautiful young girl. She said to me, excuse me, are you Stephen Kigwa? And I said, yes. She said, just hold on. And she disappeared into the crowd. I was left standing there, like a telephone post.
Yeah.
So I saw her coming holding a gentleman on one side and a lady on the other side. So she came and she said, Stephen, this is my mom. This is my dad. Then she said, Dad, Mom, this is the guy I told you who came to my school at Kabare Girls when I was in Form 2, and the things that he spoke changed my thinking, changed my life. I get that a lot.
Wow.
Yes.
What did the parents say?
They were like, oh, thank you very much. I mean, and let me tell you, that kind of feeling, no money can give you that kind of feeling. It's so fulfilling. It's so fulfilling. Yes. I feel overjoyed and I feel humbled when I meet people like that. Yes.
This was what, Kabara Girls?
Kabara Girls.
Where's that?
That is is it in Embu County? Or?
Okay,
yes, Yes.
And you do a lot of these talks in schools?
I have been to thousands of schools. I've been, like I said today, I was actually in Thika High talking to the Form 3 guys. I was actually there last week, Part1 also talking to the Form 2s. This is my life. This is what I do.
And what do you tell them? What do you tell Form 3s and Form 2s?
A lot of things, man. Like, I was talking to the Form 3s. It's a boys' school. And I was talking to them about being a man. I was telling them it's hard to be a man. It's very hard to be a man. And men have all along been misunderstood because the society expects us that we are supposed to behave in a certain way. But if you look at the statistics, they are shocking. Majority of the young people today who are being infected with HIV/AIDS are young people between the ages of 18 and 33. And majority of them, Jeff, are men. Majority of the inmates in our prison today are men, young people between the ages of 18 and 33. Majority of them, men. People who abuse drugs, majority of them are men. Men really have issues, and I was talking to them about how to be a man, because young men are suffering from identity crisis.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And they're an endangered species in a way.
Yes, exactly.
Stephen, I want to talk more about that after the break. And also I want to talk more about I Want Me Back.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't read the others, but this one caught my attention, man. And the title, fantastic.
Thank you.
At @skigwa, at Koinange Jeff, the hashtag is JKL. We're talking Inspiration Thursday, folks. Ordinary Kenyans doing extraordinary things. Stephen Kegwa, and if you want to pick up this book, it's available everywhere?
It's actually available at Textbook Center, Wexter Bookshop, on Amazon. It's available.
Perfect.
Yes.
I Want Me Back. This is a must-read, especially if you're down and out, feeling hopeless and helpless. You need that lift. You need that push. I Want Me Back could be that push for you. JKL takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.